There is a strange ritual going on right now between Ripple and the SEC. All eyes are on this case, so guys, pay close attention. On this channel, we only talk about the truth, so I'm going to tell you what I think is going on with the case because there is a big news today. Okay, before I go on, I want to say the person who is charged first gets accepted first. New market study from Cocos says spot XRP ETFs are likely to get approved in an ace before others. That's a little strange because what will happen if the market hits bottom soon? The Federal Reserve starts quantitative easing again and all this money floods into the markets. Every cryptocurrency stock will go up a lot. That's really strange because XRP will be the first cryptocurrency or digital asset that makes it easy for money to come in. When all the outside things happen, guys, why? Because the XRP spot ETFs will be cleared first. That's really cool. Okay, remember that XRP ETFs will be accepted first soon. Here's where things get even stranger. They connect to the case which is now over. Yes, baby, we're almost there. The SEC versus Ripple. It was agreed that the parties' joint move to put the appeal on hold was valid. The SEC has been told to make a status report within 60 days of this order. Now pay close attention, because this is where things get weird, okay? Guys, please like this movie because no one else will. Okay, thanks for the first 60 days again. I thought it was 60 days from 3 weeks ago. This never ends, right? No, this is not right. People want to know why this case keeps getting pushed back. It doesn't make sense, does it? What about all these other situations with the other crypto companies and fintech guys are getting dropped like flies? So how come Ripple is the only case they keep dragging out? It doesn't make sense, but it does. Does anyone else feel like they're waiting for some kind of economic or political event to happen before they end this case? Or was it just me that we called it back in 2021? That's what we called it. For this case to end, something outside of this case must happen to bring everything down. Pay close attention because this is where things get weird, okay? We are the first people on this channel, so we are about to put the pieces together. I'm sure you guys remember hearing us say that back then if you were watching. It looks like the case will end around the same time as the crash, okay? The past shows us what will happen in the future, and the future shows us what happened in the past. Why? A low point for XRP was reached on June 18, 2022. I think it was the Pico bottom. You might ask, why is that strange? Because if we come back here, 60 days will bring us to June 15th. That doesn't make sense. Hold on a second. That means the due date is June 15th. But XRP hit its lowest point on June 18, 2017, a few years ago. That seems strange, doesn't it? But it's even stranger coming back here, guys. Take a look. By the way, if there is an outside event, right, it's going to do the same thing again. Just look at what happened to XRP. It was April, not March, right? First it dumped, then it pumped. What came up next for the next 2 months? Dump after dump after dump, until the bottom showed up. What's going on now? April started here, it dumped, and then it pumped. If we keep going in the same direction, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a bar pattern right now. This is not something that I think will happen. That's the only way this could happen, a big black swan event or an explosive black swan offense, guys. But again, it fits if they solve this case with some kind of black zone event happening at the same time. Then we were right years ago, okay? That's what we said. So let's look at a fractal of that and see if it's repeating. It looks like it's repeating to me, doesn't it, guys? That's what it will look like, which is a bit strange, right? If things keep going the way they are, which I honestly believe they will, then a bigger black swan is coming soon, right? Again though, this is just a guess. How is it that the date is June 15th? In just 6 days we'll be close to the bottom of the last weak market for XRP years ago. I'm sure you understand what I mean. So are they going to do it again? I agree, this is strange. Based on what has happened in the past with the SEC and the Ripple case, it is likely that the SEC will ask for another delay in 55 days, unless Paul Atkins, the new chair of the SEC, tells them otherwise. We were the first to say that the case would end, though. We said this most of the time during or around the collapse when there is uncertainty, and a lot of it. That's strange, though. The script doesn't say that stocks will hit rock bottom on June 18th. Today is July 15th. I really believe that the next bottom will happen around that date. Even though this was said in 2002, I find it strange since the date is June 15th. Let me add to what the Federal Reserve has already said. It might be linked in some way. From the Zero Hedge, Powell asked the Fed if they would step in if the stock market fell. Powell says no, with a loud voice. The stock market falls, right? There's no need for the Federal Reserve to care, so that they can start quantitative easing again. They want the prices to fall, right? To make so much money that everything goes up 100 times from where it is now. Here is the video, guys. But once more, this fits with our idea, right? If there is a big dump, the Federal Reserve will finally step in because inflation went down. This will all happen because of a black swan event, okay? Let's see this carefully. In some types of volatility, especially stock market volatility, the bigs are back to where they were in the early days of the pandemic. They are starting to drop a bit now. Some people think that the Federal Reserve will step in if the stock market goes down. The Fed put, are they right? I'm going to say no, and give you a reason. In other words, he doesn't want to save the market, guys, if it goes down. But once more, yes, he will. Do you know why? Because black people need to vent. Inflation is not good. They want the cost of living to go down. The rate of inflation is about to drop, because things will end badly, guys. It depends on the Blackstone events, and I think it has something to do with certain countries, right? I'm getting angry at each other. And then the Federal Reserve will say, finally, it's all set in stone. We'll see what happens, but this seems strange. We'll see what takes place. The government will step in, but for now they won't, because the markets didn't even dump that much XRP. Where is that? Just take a look at how much more it could fall. When the price of XRP drops, stocks will likely come in because Bitcoin is so high. You will say no right now, but you will. The problem is that there aren't any big black swan events yet. When those happen, everything will be fine. What I think is happening in the markets is that they are figuring out what's going on. And you know it's mostly with the trade policy. The real question is, where does that fit in? Where is it going to land? We still